Okay, so first off, before I go into the video itself, I just want to say, for those who are wondering why the Vulture video is down, it's because it wasn't a credible source that I got this from, so I feel bad that I put that out there, and I took it down because I, of all people, I shouldn't believe everything I hear on the internet, but it came from an internet site that is usually has a credible source to it, but then they found out, oh, nope, we don't know if that's credible or not, so I took it down just to be safe, that it wasn't credible or not, because the internet site I got it from, like I said, was a credible source. It was from Comic Book Movie, and also I saw it on Comic Vine and a few other comic book websites I go to, and it turned out to be, we don't know if we don't really know if it's true or not, so I took it down because it didn't feel right after learning about that, so I deeply apologize for that, for, people who were hoping for the Vulture to be in there, so, but anyway, that's just really all I wanted to say is apologize for that. But let's go into the main video. Now, this video actually comes from a short discussion I had with my good friend Shades at Night. And Shades and I were talking about Uncanny X-Men, the new Brian Michael Bendis comic. Not all new, Uncanny with Cyclops and Magneto and Emma Frost. And what we were talking about is the reveal at the end of Uncanny X-Men number 6, I believe. Yeah, I think it's number 6. That S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to have, for those, if you don't want to get spoiled, it was, I suggest turning off this video right now. Okay, if you're still here, you want to get spoiled. S.H.I.E.L.D. goes to Dazzler to help them, be their liaison on Scott Summers. And Shades was kind of upset by that, because he didn't understand why they would pick, S.H.I.E.L.D. would go to Dazzler to ask for help. And we started talking about this, and now, for those who get the wrong idea, Shades and I like Dazzler. We both like Dazzler as a character, as an X-Man, but when you're looking for someone to be liaison to someone like Scott Summers, to track Scott Summers and know him inside and out, Dazzler's not really high on the list, now is she? But, yeah, it's a Bendis thing. They're taking minor characters and making them badass. We've seen it before. And no doubt he'll do something interesting with Dazzler, but we were talking about this, and, who would have been a better, pick for S.H.I.E.L.D. to go to, and it would be a lot more interesting to see how that would play out. And we both talked about, what about Sinister? What if they went to Mr. Sinister to talk about, if they went to him to be their, go-to guy for Scott Summers? Now, most of you guys would be thinking, why the hell would they go to Mr. Sinister? Would S.H.I.E.L.D. go to Mr. Sinister? Well, when you think about it, next to someone like Jean or Beast or so many other X-Men characters, it would make sense that a villain like Sinister would be the guy they would go to if they couldn't get in contact with the other X-Men. And someone they want to handle this secretly, and someone who has a lot of information on him inside and out. And who knows Scott Summers better than Mr. Sinister? Hell, the guy is responsible for half the shit that has happened in Scott's life. I mean, from creating his son, to creating Madeline Pryor, to messing with him in the future or past. He has been so invested, Sinister is so invested in Scott Summers' life that he knows how Scott Summers thinks. And you'd probably be asking, but wait a minute, S.H.I.E.L.D. wouldn't necessarily go to a villain now, would they? Well, we've seen in the past that S.H.I.E.L.D. has done shit like this. They've gone to villains for help, and they've done it without the other heroes' knowledge and without the public's knowledge, just so they could have someone to take down a hero or something. Someone who is willing to get his hands dirty in order to, fulfill the greater good and give something in return. Now, I could definitely see them, if they went to Sinister, going up to Mr. Sinister, and I'm pretty sure he'd be pissed off because Sinister created this huge kingdom that during AVX, the Phoenix Five destroyed. And Sinister would be wanting some payback, so I could definitely see, all right, I'll help you, I'll help S.H.I.E.L.D., and in return, S.H.I.E.L.D. will give me all DNA access on every mutant you have, or every Avenger. Because I could see him I could see this tying into Uncanny Avengers, where he wants DNA on everyone now. So I could definitely see that. And like I said, he's someone who knows how Scott thinks. He knows. He's experimented on him. He's experimented on his bloodline. He's pretty much responsible for creating Scott's son Cable. He's pretty much impartial to that. And there's so much that Sinister has knowledge of, and it would make sense that they would also you go to him for the other mutants. He's tangled with the mutants that are on Scott's side, and they could even go to Maria Hill could even go to Sinister for advice on in case Wolverine's team does something. He's messed with them before, obviously. So I could definitely see Sinister being that kind of guy in the shadows, just be like, yeah, okay, and it would just be him. It would just be him in the helicarrier or in some shield base, and he's allowed to do anything he wants as long as he gives them information on Scott and how he thinks and how he acts and what he's going to do next and how to handle the mutant population now. Because he's also a guy they would probably use for going to with all these new mutants around. They probably would ask someone like Sinister, who's an amazing geneticist, on how to control this situation on their terms. Granted, now. That would be kind of an interesting story, and I'd love to see how Bendis writes Sinister. But again, I'm not questioning the writing, not at all. I'm just saying this idea just spawned out of a conversation between me and Shades at night. And Shades, if Shades were here, he would have explained it a lot better because he had a hell of a bigger idea for Sinister if Bendis was writing him than I did, and we just kind of shot the shit about this. So. That's kind of what my idea is. Like, that's how I would play this out. If I thought Scott Summers was a threat to the world, this would be the guy. I don't care. Yeah, he's a bad guy. He's probably one of the most despicable beings in the Marvel Universe. But if you want to quell someone who might just turn on you and become the next Magneto, yeah, I'd probably go to this guy too. But again, I like the idea of Dazzler being a bigger part of the Marvel Universe again. That's fun. But I was just thinking, like, how cool? What would have been the idea of and how cool would it have been to see when Maria Hill, when the X-Men discover, oh God, S.H.I.E.L.D.'s been working with Sinister this whole time. All that trust between the Avengers and that kind of trust between Avengers and S.H.I.E.L.D. would be broken again because. This wouldn't be the first time they've been with villains. They've worked with Doom at one point. They worked with Magneto for a little bit. Not Magneto like Uncanny Avenger, like in Uncanny X-Men. They've worked with Magneto a bit further in the past before, as well as several other villains, and used villains before. Like they tried to manipulate Ultron, and that didn't work so well either. So. Yeah, I could definitely see them do something, try to, have Sinister on their side, but in the end, Sinister's the real big picture in the end. So, that's just how I see it. But anyway, guys, you guys tell me what you think of this. Would it have been cool to see S.H.I.E.L.D. work with Sinister, or do you like the idea with them using Dazzler or some other mutant, whether it be hero or villain in the X-Men universe? So, yeah, again, that's just my opinion, and yeah, that's really all I have to say.